All right, you're up. Yo, 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 yo. What up? We are back in action, my friends. How's everybody doing? Now, this is better, right? Hot damn. Good, good, good. Good to see everybody in. Rashaf, what's going on? Let's let everybody come in. That was my bad, but I have a very specific way I like to do these things, which is to make them hot, right? The slides don't make the webinar. The man makes the webinar. That's the way it goes. A man's face is his moneymaker. Yeehaw! All right. Now we're on to something. Good, 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 good. Good, Elias. How you doing, brother? My friends, give everybody about 5 minutes to just come back in. In the meantime, if any of you guys got some questions or you want to chat about something, let me know while we kind of loop everybody back through, and we're going to get this party started. Jeffrey Wood, what's going on? How are you? Jeremy, where do you live? We can grab beers. Mr. Ante, what's going on? Good. Well, let's talk a little bit, and while we're waiting for everybody to get in, and we'll get this thing going. You know, this thing is gonna last till it lasts, right? That's the that's how we like to do things here. But in the meantime, I'm waiting for kind of everybody to pop back in. But in terms of your question, what do I think about biotechs? Biotechs are actually really hot right now because if you look at the actual market, the chart for the biotech index, it's in a huge breakout, and it's come out of this like kind of multi-year pattern, and they look great. So, you know, if you're thinking about trading biotechs is where the action is right now. And, you know, if you look at some of the stocks that have been running, it's just been really incredible, right? Like if you look at the CLS, and this was today's move, you know, you don't really get this in any other sector, right? Like you couldn't be a bank stock and get this type of movement. You can't even get this type of action in cryptocurrency. You can only get this in stocks. That's why, you know, still, no matter what, stocks are still the best game in town, no matter what you do. But let's talk a little bit. Let's just get to work, and I'll answer all your questions later, and we'll get this party going. So, you know, I wanted to talk a little bit today about what new traders have to go through to really make it in trading, right? What new traders have to go through to make it in trading, and why that's important. So, like, why do you have to go through a specific process or hacks, right? And so obviously hacks is kind of just a catchy term people use as clickbait in a way, but that's the new thing, right? Self-help. But one of the things, you know, in terms of when you're a new trader, like what you have to go through to really be good and get this down is very, very specific processes on how you learn. And that's what I'm going to step through today, on different things that you need to do step by step and tools you can use along each step so that you can progress to the next level. See, one of the reasons that people fail as new traders, and they fail when they're trying something like this, is they don't attack it like a job, right? Like your job, say you're an accountant. Well, how do you go and learn accounting and then get a job at an accounting firm and then actually get paid to be an accountant, right? You go and you learn it, and then you've got to study it, right? And then you got to be tested on it, and then you got to get an internship, right? And then you got to look for a job, and then you go through all these steps, and then you finally get paid, right? And trading is a similar manner in that people will just read a book. You know, one of the things I always get on my Instagram is, can you give me some books to read? Oh, I really want to become a professional trader. And it's like, yeah, let me whip it out of my purse and, you know, grab you the trading Bible, right? That doesn't exist. These can be supplements. You know, books are great supplements in terms of what you can do, but they can't take you to the finish line, right? Only having that kind of step-by-step process can do that. And so I think that's going to be just really, really important. So, you know, a little bit just about myself, you know, so I have been doing this my whole adult life, right? And so like many of you guys, I went to college. You know, I grew up in Michigan. That's my mom in the background that you see. Mom, did you wave hi to everybody? Hi. Right? And I went to college to get, you know, and I was told the same story. Go to college, get good grades, right? Go get a job. You work till you're 65. You get married. You have 2 kids. You're nice to your parents, and then you die, right? That's your life. That's kind of my dad's life right now. And he had a little bit more fun with some boozing and some fun things, but that's kind of the aspect of where you go through in life, right? And so, you know, along the way, I always was never really interested in studying in anything I learned in college. I never really, I was always anti-establishment. I just wanted to do stuff my own way, and I didn't really want to listen to anybody. And so trading really fit naturally for me, but I was an awful trader for a long time. And heck, it runs in our family. My dad is over here somewhere. He's a bad trader too. So the Desai men, we just never could figure out trading, but we both loved it. And I kind of I learned that from my dad, the passion to try to make money in different ways. You know, my dad taught me about all that fun stuff. It was awesome. But along the way, through all my failures, you know, I met myself a mentor named Paul, who actually works for me now. And Paul was really able to help me take all the knowledge I have, because I've been reading about trading, and I had been reading about, you know, all different stuff in trading and practicing it, but I just wasn't good. And he was really able to help me get situated, right, in terms of how do you learn this on a step-by-step basis. So let's kind of get into what we do. So the first thing, like when we're talking about trading, so, you know, what's the number one thing that we'll have to learn when we trade, right? The number one thing that we have to do. Well, in trading, if you can narrow down the basis of trading, so if you can narrow down what you're trying to do in terms of setups, right? That changes everything. So what a setup is, a trading setup, is a setup is a list of conditions that must trigger before a trade can be taken. And that starts with a trading pattern, and then you overlay different aspects to a trade on top of it. And so when you think about trading, think about it like you're a lawyer and you're building a case, right? Right? In law, it's like you could be innocent or guilty, right? And to be guilty, you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this person is XYZ. Trading is the same way. We want to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this trade is worthy of our time, of our capital and our mental capital, right? And so what we do is we overlay certain things in terms of we take a pattern and then we start to overlay some different indicators to assign probability to the pattern so that we can say beyond a reasonable doubt that this trade is worth our time. And so when we go into these things, you know, for me, I have 18 different patterns that I trade. I'm sorry, I got to switch back and forth between all this stuff, but that's the nature of the game right now. So I have 18 different setups that I do, okay? But learning them all takes years and years and years of experience. And the biggest mistake, I think, that new traders do is they try to be generalists. Now, I want you guys to write this down and remember this. In trading, if you are above average and proficient in 10 different things, you will actually lose money. You could have knowledge of stocks, options, investing, fundamentals, technicals, intraday. You could have now indicators. You could have knowledge and be good at all those different things and really have a deep understanding of them. And you would still lose. You would still lose, guys. And the reason is that, well, guess what? You know, when we're thinking about trading, we have to be masters at something. We have to be masters at something, meaning that we have to have an acute understanding down to a mastery level of one or two things. And if we can do that, we will be able to make money. And once you're able to make money in trading, even if it's a little bit, you're buying yourself time to get better at a lot of different things. See, profits heal everything, right? And so in the beginning, a trader is in a race against time. How much time do I have before I either run out of money? How much time do I have before I have to go back to work? Or how much time do I have before my wife says enough is enough, right? But we're in a race against time. And so when we try to learn too much, we don't give ourselves the repetitions to actually get really good at something. And so guess what happens here? Now we're just farting around as generalists, and everybody has a buddy like that, right? He learns a little bit about this, he learns a little bit about that, he knows a little bit about this, and in the end, he doesn't really make any money, right? But he knows a little bit about everything. Anybody got a buddy like that? He knows a little bit about everything. He can interject in fucking any conversation, but he doesn't make any money. He's always trying something, right? And for us, that doesn't really work that well. And so we need to narrow things down into setups, right? And so whether you're a day trader or a swing trader, to focus down on one or two setups, now guess what? We're going to be able to get and build expertise down to a granular level, guys. You have to build expertise down to a granular level, meaning that when the market opens, there is zero surprises for you when you are trading that setup, okay? And so, well, why does that matter? Like, so for me, for example, right? I trade, I'm going to just add a little bit here and go off the dot, but I trade earnings plays, right? So I trade earnings plays. That's like my thing to do, right? I like to trade stocks, and I have 18 setups, by the way, but I like to trade stocks with fresh news that has very, very specific patterns, right? And so what that means, guys, is that I have a specific criteria of things that I need to see so that I can get into a trade. So I'm going to go into kind of a couple things that I do. So hold on one second here. I got a couple things that I've got to do. So one of the things when I'm trading is all right. Yee, sorry about that. All right, we're back. I was looking for a slides and I had to log into my personal, and then before you know it, it was game on. So let's talk a little bit about patterns, right? So let's talk a little bit about patterns. So when we're talking about patterns, so I'm going to give you just some, I'm going to give you some basic, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of some basic stuff that I put on my charts. And then from there, I'm going to show you some specific patterns. And from there, we'll start building this into something a little bit deeper. So for now, I want you guys to look at charting, right? So guys, if you don't mind typing in, who is new to charting? Like, who does not have their own charting program? So like what I use here is a charting program, right? And this is TC 2000. Now this costs money, but they have a free version of this called Free Stock Charts. And you guys can pull this up. So if you use like Internet Explorer, you can go in, and it's the free version of this, but it's pretty cool. Cool. So like you can go in and go on Free Stock Charts, and they have a free version. And you can go on here and boom, you'll have like this kind of action here. So I'm going to just show you vanilla. Don't worry, baby. We're on 24/7. So I'm going to just show you vanilla. You're the only one that can't hear, baby. But I'm going to show you kind of how to set this up. And then I'm going to give you a couple patterns that I like to use. And then we're going to move on and get this thing going. So when you're on your free stock charts, if you're brand new, okay, open a new layout. Open a new layout, and your charting is going to look like this. You just got to believe in the dream, baby. So, all right, so we've got this thing Dix, right? And we're going to just keep it on Dix because, I mean, just the fact that we've got to keep repeating the word Dix at least makes it a little bit entertaining for us all, right? I mean, you can't say that without smiling. So let's, everybody pull up DKS and boom, 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 boom. Now, it's going to look like this, right? And so I want you guys to start editing this. Remember, this will be recorded. So, you know, I'm going to go a little bit faster than I normally would, but be mindful that we'll just, we're going to work on this Dix right now and build out our chart. So first thing I want you to do is where it says here 10 minutes, I want you to go in and type in daily, right? And then from there, I want you to start adding in some indicators, okay? So, Jason, so I want you to hit this add indicator. I want you to type in moving. I want you to type in moving, and then it says add moving average to. I want you to go into price history. And I want you to add that. Now, I want you to add moving averages to your Dix 4 different times. So now you got 2. Add it again. Add it to price history. So now you got 3. And I want you to add it one more time. Hit that Dix with the moving average one more time. So now you got this thing 4 times. All right. So now we're going to change around these indicators because right now they all say 50 and they're all blue. So we got to change these around and change around the colors a little bit. All right. So I want you to change this word. So I want you to click it, hit edit, and where this comes in, I want you to turn this period into a 9. All right. So I should come in. We're going to turn that into 9. And then see here where it says average type. I want you to turn this into exponential. All right. So it's 9 exponential. Leave it. The next one, click it, edit it, change the color. Let's make this yellow. Turn that to 20. Okay. Click this next one. Leave it, edit it. Change the color to purple and leave everything else the same. So you get 9, 20, 50, and I want you to turn this to 200. And then make that red. Good. So now we got 4 lines on our Dix, and we've got ourselves, guess what? A chart, right? And so this is some of the aspects of, you know, what we're going to do with our charting. Now, from there, so this is the free version, free stock chart, and it's okay. It looks pretty good. I use their paid version, which is TC2000. I like this because it's a modular-based kind of thing, meaning you can like add in like your trading, watch lists, scans. You can make your own scans. You can add in news. You can have like multiple windows. So like I have all these different layouts on mine. See that? So I have this on a different monitor. So I'm watching, say I'm watching 6 stocks. I can do that. I have these like all these different layouts on here for my thing. So you can make different layouts. It's pretty cool. So, and then you can drag and drop them to different monitors. And so like I have all these different layouts that I use for different things. Then you have your scans, watch lists, you know, I mean, and then you can see it's really colorful, right? Like look at the colors, right? They pop. One of the things with charting is that charting is a really visual thing, right, guys? It's visual. It's what we stare at all day. The other thing is, so I want the ability to have like really bright and easy charts to look at, right? And so I have so many different layouts and stuff. But one of the things you can do is like you'll have, you know, you can make these pink, right? You can do this. There's just a lot you can do with TC2000 that I really like in terms of the coloring and then the modular based stuff. Like, say I wanted to come in and, you know, have an area for my notes, right? I can come in here and I can add in notes. And now I have an area where I can put in all notes on these stocks. So if I'm looking at this, I can write a note and it'll be in here. You have consoles for everything. And all of this stuff is modular, meaning I can make as many layouts as I want, right? And layouts and so on and so forth. So I think that's pretty cool. So I use the paid version. I use Platinum. I noticed that 95% of my students will use the gold. They'll use the gold, okay? And so I'd be just mindful of that. Now, one of the things when we're thinking about these type of moving averages, so I use different ones on here. So what you'll see on these ones that we added is we use a 9 EMA, a 20 SMA, 50 SMA, 200 SMA in our daily chart. So what does that really do, right? So moving averages can act as multiple things, right? Moving averages can do multiple things. Number one, a moving average can act as support and resistance on a stock, meaning that moving averages can be areas where demand flows into a stock to provide support, meaning they can actually be areas where a stock bounces, meaning there might be demand in for them. Now, remember, we don't just buy something because it hits a moving average or something like that. Remember what I said in trading, that we're building a case, meaning that we are taking multiple pieces of evidence, starting with a price pattern, and then we are aligning the rest of our indicators to build probability, right? So in trading, when we see just one thing, we never do that, right? In trading, when we see one thing, we don't just take the trade, right? That would be just a blind thing that doesn't work. But what we do is we can couple them with other things, and now we can start building a case. So one of my favorite swing trade, setups that I use all the time are flat top breakouts, right? Our flat top breakouts. And so when we're looking and thinking of stocks that do flat top breakouts, what can we do in terms of a trading pattern, right? And so this is one of the more simpler patterns that we can use, but the moving averages will come in really into play when we're looking at these things to manage our risk. So one of the most powerful patterns that we can use is on trending stocks. When we get these ranges of consolidations that come in them, where we actually build a tabletop right upon the stock, well, guess what happens? When we explode over it, right, we've set ourselves up for another potential run. So this is what's called a flat top breakout, where we get something that's trending, and as anything when it trends, guys, once it gets up too high, what does it have to do? It's got to take a breather, right? Stocks are like people. When they run for a period of time, they've got to take a break, right? And so guess what? Once you start to get a sideways period of consolidation for a period of a month to 2 months, a lot of times people get bored of it. They're like, oh, it's not going up anymore. But that's not the case. See, what happens is that resting period, stocks get their power from consolidations and bases. Those resting periods, guys, they allow it to build power. They allow it to build energy like a pressure cooker, so that when you finally can get over it, right, you start to explode and you start your next run. And this happens in all different types of instruments, right? So like for me, I trade Bitcoins, right? So for a lot of you guys know that I trade cryptocurrencies, okay? And so when I'm trading cryptocurrencies, one of the best patterns, one of our biggest gains that we've had in our cryptocurrency is of this same type of pattern. So if you look at, let me get rid of this, hold on. So this is TradingView. TradingView is a really cool platform for cryptos. I don't like it as much for stocks because it's not as pretty as, it doesn't have as many features as TC2000, but I love this thing. I use it for my crypto all the time. So think about this. This is Bitcoin, right? You guys are all familiar with Bitcoin? So look what happens with Bitcoin. We're sitting over here to about $1,000, right? And it goes on this epic run. See how it gets to 3,000? So it's at 3,000. Now, guess what happens? This thing is extended, right? It's gone a long way. To go from 1,000 to 3,000 is an incredible and miraculous run, but it can't go on forever. That would just be crazy, right? It can't go on forever. So what it needs is time, right? Where it can heal and build up energy. Where it can heal and build up energy. So what you see in the Bitcoin for a period of, this is now, right? So this starts in the middle of June, let's say, right? So let's say June 15th. So since June 15th, right, you start to build a flat top right on top of this thing. It literally looks like you're putting a damn tabletop on this thing, doesn't it? So you see how you test this area here. Then you test it here and you test it here. And what are you doing? Right? You're building that pressure cooker. It's coming up and it keeps testing up that level. Right? And so you're testing it and you're building up that pressure. And then what you have here is, see how your moving averages start to curl up right under it. See how your moving averages start to curl up right under it? That's when you know the pattern is getting tight. And in trading, they say, if it's tight, it's right, right? Just like a haircut. And so when you get your 9 EMA curling up under that thing, guess what happens? You're building a pressure cooker here, and it's holding this thing down. But you're hitting and you're hitting and you're hitting, and your moving averages start curling up, adding support. Well, guess what happens now, guys? When it finally gets over it, boom, that's when you get the explosion, right? And this type of action will happen in this type of pattern is something that we use all the time. So this was a trade I did in LTC just a little while ago, right? Same type of deal. See this thing? This is one of my best trades of the year. So this thing, it was at $2. Ran all the way to $55. That's one hell of a run, right? Guys, what happens if you run a marathon? And you run a marathon at explosive speeds? What's going to happen if you run a marathon and you go as fast as you can without taking a breather? You're going to need some time to rest, right? You got to chill out. You need to chill out for a long time. It's a pizza party, right? You can have yourself a little pizza party for a long time. You may not move off that couch for a long time. So LTC's run the marathon. Now it's got to chill, right? So it comes in, and this is July, right? So let's say July 4th, it says, all right, Independence Day, no longer am I moving around. So now it just starts to sit around, right? And you test that level again. See, now you got 2 tests. You always need 3 tests, by the way, guys. 3 tests, you're a winner. 2 tests, you're a wiener. Remember that. 3 tests, you're a winner. 2 tests, you're a wiener. 3 tests you need. So you got to hit that tabletop 3 damn times. All right? So you can test that thing. Then you get tested again, and you are beating down the door of that pressure cooker. And guess what? When you hit it that third time, and your 9 EMA is curling up right under it, oh boy, that is your sign that you are about to make some money, that you are about to take some to the bank, because that is explosion. That is the pressure cooker, right? And so we always want to get into that. So this is one of my favorite patterns that I use on all different aspects of trading. Now, we can do the same type of things even when we are intraday trading. So when we're day trading, we literally use, guess what? The same type of patterns, right? And I use the 9 EMA as my stop. But I use these same type of patterns even when I'm day trading, guys. This is not just something that you can do on a longer term chart. We also can do it on day trades. But this is a very, very powerful thing. One of my best trades I made in stocks this year was in this shop where this thing right in January broke out. Look at the tabletop on this bad boy, right? So this thing went from 25 to 45. Shopzilla, baby, right? Shopzilla. So it's been months just testing and testing and testing and testing. Look when it finally goes. It busts over and you got your 9 EMA coming up under it. Why did it never break here? Does anybody know, or break here? Your 9 EMAs aren't there, right? It's not tight. It ain't tight and right. You need your 9 EMA curling up under. It's the curls for the girls, right? And that's when you want to take the trade. Anybody ever trade a breakout that just fell on their face? I talk to traders all the time. And they say, man, none of the breakouts I get into work. Well, one of the reasons that the breakouts that they try to get into don't work is because it ain't tight, right? If you don't have the curls for the girls coming right up under it, then you're going to have a loosey-goosey pattern. And when the pattern is loose, that's when the risk is high, right? The pattern gets tight when your EMAs come into it. And yeah, I do have, I trade live in front of my students every day. So I put out a webinar link and I screen share in front of them. And the good, the bad, and the ugly. Look at some days I get smoked out, you know, and some days, like today, I barely made anything, 250 bucks, nothing. And I'm trading live in front of them. You know, some days I win a lot. Some days I lose, right? But I'm trading live in front of them, and it's pretty cool, you know. But like, yeah, I'll post my screenshot of what I made, and I'm calling out the student. I'm calling out the trades live. And, you know, some days I just royally fuck up, and that's less often. But, you know, everything is I'm trading in front of them, explaining exactly what I do, because, well, that's the only way that you're going to learn, right? So that's one pattern. So now let's talk a little bit about these hacks, right? So the second part of, you know, using different things is the VWAP. So the VWAP is my favorite intraday trading indicator. The VWAP stands for volume weighted average price. And this is a straight intraday trading indicator, right? Straight intraday trading indicator, meaning that I'm not using it on my daily charts. I'm not using it for my swing trades. I am using it for strictly intraday. And so VWAP does a couple of things, right? So when I'm intraday trading, I keep the VWAP on my chart. So it's always this brown one. VWAP is a lifestyle. But what VWAP will help us do and understand is it will give us a sentiment of the stock in terms of its bullishness or bearishness. So what the fuck does that even mean? Sorry, Mom. But what that means is when a stock is trading above its VWAP, okay, it's in a bullish thrust. In all short-term corrections towards the VWAP tend to get bought up, and they can be opportunities to get in and continue on with the trend, right? And so the VWAP, when a stock is trading above it, what you'll have is like your patterns and the dips to your moving averages, they tend to hold because volume weighted average price essentially means the average buyer, it's the average price of the buyers and sellers in that stock for the day. So think about that on a psychological level. Okay, think about that on a psychological level. It's the average price of the buyers and sellers trading that stock. So as long as everybody in aggregate is in the green, meaning everybody is up on this thing in general, I'll make a generality, well, now what's going to happen is that stock tends to act bullish. Your short-term corrections towards moving averages or your different little patterns, they will work a lot cleaner because you actually have the ability, because people are in the green. Now look at like ECYT. So this stock was up 61% today, but what you can see is untradeable on a day trading side of things today. Well, why? Like, how come there was no longs in this? You can see all day from the open after the first few minutes when it broke under the VWAP. Look at this. Every time it popped into the VWAP, it dropped down 5-6%. Popped in the VWAP and dropped down. Popped in the VWAP, dropped down. So like all day, say you were trying to long this. Say you were like, man, that ECYT is hot, right? I want to get some of that ECYT money. Well, if you're trying to get some of that ECYT money, guess what's going to happen? Today, you just kind of ran into the VWAP and you just died down. Till that thing gets over that VWAP or stays over it, it's a no buenos. That's no good in Spanish for those of you guys that don't read so good, right? So that VWAP really comes into play because it gives you the sentiment of whether you can play this thing to the upside or downside. Now, on the other side of things, so we were playing this stock. What's that stock that starts with the Z, guys? What's that stock that we've been rocking and rolling this last week? Shit. We just made $1,500 on it yesterday. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, yeah, ZGNX. Check this out. So, like ZGNX, for example, this stock had some PR out, right? It had some PR out, so it's up over 100%, okay? And it was at $15. It opened up, got to $26, okay? So it's up 100%. But look what happens like right at the open. It can't hold above its VWAP, right? So when it can't hold above its VWAP, guess what happens? The sentiment on the short term is bearish. It's bearish, right? It can't get the juice going. So every time it pops, it just dies down. Pops, it dies down. But even worse, look, there's no action, right? Like it's not giving us anything to trade. Like it's not giving us the juice we need, right? If we're going to be men of honor, what do we need? We need range. We need activity, right? We need these things to move. So as long as it's stuck under this VWAP, it's just acting like a man without honor, a man searching for a home. But when we break over that thing, when we finally break over this thing, so the VWAP is at 29.76. Look what happens when we start to break over it. We start to creep, baby. Oh, now we're creeping. Look at that thing go, right? So now we get to 32, 33, 34, 36, 37. Hot damn, right? That VWAP was acting like a lid on the stock. But once we get over it and people are in the green on it, the sentiment can change. And now we've got the huge drip. Now, I know for a lot of you guys, you got smaller accounts, right? 3,000, 5,000, 10,000. Not everybody trades with the same size account. One of the things to really remember is when you have a smaller account, You always want to people always think they got to trade penny stocks. I got to trade the cheap stocks. That's not necessarily the case. I very rarely trade the pennies because there's no money in them. It's easier to find something like this that may run $3, $4, $5, $6. And even if you have 100 shares or 200 shares, if you can find stocks that have a multi-dollar range, what's easier? You being in a $2 stock and trying to trade back and forth and it moves 10 cents that day and you're trying to sit there and trade it back and forth for 3, 4 pennies? Or is it easier to have 200 shares of this stock at 30 bucks and let this thing rip for $5, $6? What can you make more money on? What's easier to trade back and forth on? I think it's easier to trade back and forth when the stock has range because it allows you room to move around, right? We call that elbow room, right? Sometimes when we're moving around, we need a little elbow room, right? You ever go to a bar and you're just packed in like sardines? It ain't that fun. Yeah, there's a lot of people there, but you're not moving around very fun, right? Everybody needs a little elbow room. Same thing in trading, right? If you have to be perfect to the penny, well, then you're always going to be wrong. But if you have something that has range and it can move up and down dollars, well, now we don't have to be so tight with everything. We can allow a stock to do what it's going to do. We can allow it to reach its potential and to go where we know it can go. And that's the huge part. And so the VWAP will come in and give us that measure of sentiment that we can use to measure whether we need to be bullish or bearish on these companies. Now, on the other side of things, look, we have scans for days, right? So I have scans for stocks that, are moving X amount in 5 days. I have this liquid gainer scan I use to spot momentum. Top loser scan to look for shorts. So at TC2000, you can literally make a scan for anything, right? So, I have scans for all sorts of stuff, rubber band plays, price percent stuff. All my students that take our boot camp, I send them my scans on TC2000. I don't hoard these things, but it's really easy to make scans on TC2000. You get U.S. common stocks, and you just start adding in conditions. They got conditions for indicators. You can write formulas. You can write Boolean things of like, hey, I need XYZ greater than BYS. You can make anything you can think of in your head. Oh, you can make it in this thing. And then you can run these things streaming if you want, or you can, just refresh them, and go. But, it's good. So the main thing, though, in terms of scanning, I'm searching for momentum, right? So I'm searching for momentum. But remember this, guys, for new traders, right? So you guys are new. Most of you guys are new. That's my dad. Does he look like me? Da-da! Yeah. Da-da! But it's cool. So what I was saying is that for you guys, it's going to be like for you guys, it's going to be cool because, well, frankly, you're only searching for a handful of things, right? So like if you think about what you're trying to do, right? So if you think about what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go with your trading. So I taught you guys, right, I taught you guys to narrow down your trading, right, into one or two patterns. So the best part is when you're just trading one or two patterns, right? It's so cool because you can write the easiest scans in the world when you do that, right? So when you're thinking about like, when you're thinking about just one or two patterns, like I'm searching for flat top breakouts, I'm searching for VWAP plays, I'm searching for flags, right? It's awesome because the scans are going to be so much easier, right? You're only looking for a couple things. So it's cool. So you've got to come in and always think about like, all right, I'm searching for flat top breakouts. I'm searching for flags. So now what's happening is your scanning approach is simplified, right? In terms of looking for movers and then narrowing it down into your very specific patterns, and then you're good to go. So let's talk about hack number 3. Let's talk about hack number 3. So let me get back into this. Hold on. Let me get back into this. So know the different time frames, okay? So all day trades should be confirmed on the daily and intraday time frames. There are 3 intraday time frames that I use, okay? You have your morning, which is your most volatile, your afternoon, which slows down around lunch, and then you have your end of day, okay? And these are really, really important. Anybody ever get into, anybody ever do like a flag pattern and it failed, right? And you looked at it and you said, why did that fail, right? Well, sometimes if you don't match the pattern to the time of day you're trading it, your pattern will fail. For example, like I was just grading one of my students' trades the other day, right? And, you know, we were talking about this trade and, you know, we were talking about this trade. And so when I teach boot camp, we do trading recap webinars after the trading day, meaning we talk about the trades and stuff like that. So like if you're talking about ZGNX yesterday, right? So you can see in the morning, this thing opened up at 35.78, right? So notice how like in the morning, right here off this flag pattern, it exploded. See that? And then right here off this flag pattern, it exploded again, all the way to 46 bucks. But then see this flag pattern that looked similar didn't work. Does anybody know why that didn't work? Can anybody guess why that didn't work? So when you're trading, guys, and focus up here, but when you're trading short patterns, meaning those 3 to 4 to 5 candle patterns, they only work at the market open, okay? At the market open. After the open, meaning the first hour of the day, guys, after the first hour of the day, you need longer patterns. Short patterns only work at the open. Middle of the day, you need longer patterns. So this pattern, these are opening range patterns. They can be shorter patterns. Why? They can be shorter patterns because, well, number one, the market just opened, so you don't really have any time to have longer patterns. And the second part is the morning is where things are most explosive. So in the morning, stocks are volatile as they're looking to find equilibrium between buyers and sellers. They're in a search for truth, basically. They're in a hunt to figure out where they belong. Middle of the day, you need consolidate. Middle of the day, stocks tend to consolidate or retrace. Consolidate means go sideways, or retrace means pull back in price. Middle of the day, if stocks tend to consolidate or retrace. Not always, but this is just a majority of time. So the pattern, if you saw this pattern midday, It's 99% of the time I see this thing fail. This pattern. But when I see this pattern, guys, in the open, man, it almost always works. Think about that. It will work in the morning, man, and when it works, it really works. But it will not work middle of the day. Middle of the day, you need longer patterns. You need hour type of consolidations and patterns. See this? See, middle of the day, it takes longer to break out. But at the open, you can just consolidate for a few minutes and go, right? So it's just so different. Middle of the day, longer patterns. Short patterns will fail middle of the day. Now, end of day, you have also very, very specific patterns. And so what you have to do so that you're not buying the tops is marry your pattern that you're looking to trade with what type of time of day it tends to work the best. Guys, in VWAP, works like wonders. VWAP works like wonders during middle of the day. So let me show you something. Like if you're talking, and I hate to backtrack here, but middle of the day, you always want steeper patterns, okay? You want to have, in middle of the day, steeper pullback. So like when middle of the day, I don't want to buy, like this is a trade we took last week. I don't want to buy these little baby flags. These are little girl flags, middle of the day. Middle of the day is for men, and we need deeper pullback. So at the open, see how you can have these short patterns, 3-4 candles, because the market just opened. Middle of the day, those short patterns will not work. You need steeper pullback. So middle of the day, I tend to wait for VWAP type pullback. So I'll let it come back to the VWAP. I'll need a candle to hold there, right? So I need it to hold there with some green. Then I put my stop under it. And now I'm good to go for show, right? So middle of the day, different patterns, right? See, this was, this was MRTX 2 weeks ago. This was the play. So you can see like this stock was $4.50. It gapped up on some news at $10, right? So it's up huge. You got all this stuff going on. So you get this like short little pattern, and it just explodes off its 9 EMA in this flag and goes to $12, right? Then look at this, middle of the day. So this is about lunchtime. See how you got this flag pattern here? Boop, it dies. Flag patterns don't work very well middle of the day. Flag patterns do not work well middle of the day. That's short patterns for suckers. This pattern, by the way, if you saw this pattern right here, and it worked at the open, it worked at the open like a charm, this pattern would. Middle of the day, this is what you need. You needed to come back down to the VWAP. You need a green candle to hold to confirm. And then, boom, your stop goes under. And now you're playing this thing back around. Now you're playing this thing back around. Ronit, I have had over 200 Indians in our boot camp. I'll give you the names of all of them. You can call them up. I'm beloved in the Indian community. I'm the only person that the Indians don't try to barter with because they know that this is the real deal. So guys, see this? I want you to ingrain this in your head though. VWAP, middle of the day. Short patterns, beginning of the day. It's very, very important. And then guys, I mean, I don't have, it'll take hours and hours to get into all of them. And then end of the day, we have different stuff. Now, I do warn you, I'm 90% of, I mostly trade the first 2 hours. I mostly trade the first 2 hours. You'll very rarely, guys, you'll very rarely see me trade after the first couple of hours. In trading, you shouldn't need to trade all day, okay? You shouldn't need to trade all day. The first couple hours have so much action that if you're trading to the end of the day, you know why? It's because you fucked up your trades. So for me here, we're out here in the beach over here in Florida, and I got stuff to do. I like to trade, make a little money, cruise out for the day. Then I come back and I do class at night, and I trade cryptocurrency and all that fun stuff. So I mean, I'm trading a lot, but it's not vodka. Dude, I've been on video for nearly 12 hours today. It's just so this is just water right now. I have class at 7:30 in the morning every day for the guys in my mentorship group. I get them ready for the market, and then I trade live in front of everybody, and till I'm done, and then we have class at night. All right, so let's get into the next hack. So let's talk a little bit about risk management. So risk management is really important, okay? So the number one thing that we can do as traders, our only job is to manage risk, meaning that picking stocks is a very small portion of what we do. When I was a new trader, okay, I had a really good knack for picking stocks. I could go in and, man, I could look at a group of stocks and I could pick out the hottest ones. Like I'd be like, man, this looks explosive. Because I know the formula for what makes explosive stocks. And it's so simple, right? Not simple, but there are a handful of things that go into them, right? What makes an explosive stock? Well, a hot daily chart, some type of PR or earnings recently in the last so many weeks or whatever usually helps. Expanding volume, meaning rising volume, like if it does 2 or 3 million shares a day and now it's doing 10 or 20, right? That's a tell. Low float. The float is the number of outstanding shares that are available that can be traded in a stock. And stocks that have lower than 100 million shares tend to be low float, and so they can be explosive. Those years that Netflix was really flying, when it went from 18 to 600 or whatever, the float on it was like 40 million shares. Even though it was a big name stock and multi-billion-dollar company, it was a low float. Tesla was a low float. And then a lot of these little biotech stocks you see, they're Tyler, I did send you the scans today, buddy. Hold on, look. I'll show you in a hot second, but I did send them. And I'll send them again. But, so you got low float, PR, hot daily. So I always kind of had an idea of what was going to run. But the thing is, I'm not saying that 200 million can't go up. I'm not even saying that 400 million can't go up. I trade NVIDIA every day. It's a 400 million share float. But NVIDIA can't go up 300% in a day, so it is true. Facebook can't go up 300% in a day, but a low flow biotech can't. So in a way, it is true. But so this is the kind of formula. But just because you know what stocks are going to go up doesn't mean you can actually do them. Because I'd have an idea, but then I would still lose, right? Because you just can't manage the risk. And so our number one job is always to go out and manage risk. Remember what I told you is that in trading, it's not just a race against the stocks, right? You're in a race against time. How long can I stay in the game before my money runs out? Or I'm forced to go back to work? Or my wife says, okay, enough is enough, right? Those are like the three main ones that I hear, that I always hear. It's that race against time. And so our job is to manage the risk because you work hard for your money, right? You don't want to be just blowing it. And so being a good risk manager is the whole game. And it's the one that holds us all back because we all want to do a little gambling, don't we? We all want to just have that one trade that sets us apart. But guess what? That's not going to be, that's not the way to really last a long time in this business, right? It's taking hits every single day and managing risk. And that's everything. So in terms of trading, you always want to think about getting at least 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 reward to risk on your trade. So what does that mean is that if you're risking $1, you should at least make 2 or 3, right? And this is really important. So if you're risking $50, your reward should at least be $100, right? Because what this allows you to do is over the course of the year, even if you're not that good at picking stocks, you will make money. Meaning if your reward to risk ratios are good, this is what will happen. Say you take 500 trades in a year. And on your average trade, you make $200. How much money is that? 100K. Now, imagine that you took 500 and you had 500 losses. So you're taking 1,000 trades, you had 500 wins and 500 losses. Now, your average loss is $100 per loss. How much is that? You have 50K in losses. So your net, and I'm talking without commissions and tax, but I'm just kind of making a point here, right? Net, even if you batted 50%, you would be up 50 grand. And that's as a new trader who probably is not that good at picking stocks, right? Your win ratio when you're new, till you develop your intuition and your feel for things, will be lower. As you gain more experience and you find out what you like and what you're good at, well, now your win ratio will naturally go up. But the key is that if you can manage your risk properly in terms of your risk to reward ratios, you will still make money as long as you can keep this going. So this becomes just huge, guys. We want to always be managing those things. And then this is what's going to happen as you guys get a little bit better. Well, your win ratio is going to improve a little bit as you get a little bit more experience. So you're going to go, and now you're going to win you're going to have 600 wins for the year and 400 losses. Well, guess what? Now you just turned this into something that, now you just went from being a hobby to making a job, right? And then as you get more experience, well, you'll be trading more. And, I take thousands of trades a year, right? So, now imagine that you take 2,000 trades a year, right? And you take 1,000 losses, whatever it might be. But as you gain more experience, you will. So this reward to risk has to be really, really, really important. Don't be like these guys. I don't know what this thing means, but it looks deadly. So remember this. When you're thinking about this, when you're buying a stock, say at $10, and your stop loss is at $9.50, and your exit point's at $11.50, what's your reward to risk? You've got 3-to-1, right? But if your exit point was at $10.50 and your stop loss is $9.50, well, guess what? That's a 50-50 shot. It does not do you any good long term, right? Because now what you're dependent on is a really, really high win ratio to make money, which you can't always do because sometimes the markets flip and your win ratios will go down. Now, on the other side of things, guess what? And yes, you can build intuition. Intuition, guys, in anything is built over what? It's built over time. It's built with experience. And yeah, you will learn even how to build intuition in boot camp, because guess what? Like when we teach class, right? So we put our students on simulators, right? We put our students on simulators and they're practicing and then they're going live and then they're still practicing. And guess what happens? You're just building up repetition after repetition. So like my students that I work with, you know, we use different tools to, you know, like do journals and stuff. So like, you know, you'll see like I'll have some of these guys. So this is one of my students, Simon, right? So he's a brand new, he's 20, I don't even know, he's probably 21, 22 years old, right? And so, you know, he's been trading with me for years. I mean, this whole year. So he's just a kid right now. But one of the things that he does is like he'll journal out every single trade. And what he'll do here is he's essentially, as he's making trades and he's journaling them out, he's staring and he's looking at what he did right and wrong, right? He's memorizing. Like he literally will study his trades till he can't look anymore. And what that does is that also helps you build up intuition. Like look at his notes, right? And so one of the things that you'll see is, you know, when I talk to him in his free time, and look, he's not this epic trader. He's just a kid. He's getting started. He trades a $2,000 account, right? But what he's doing here is amazing because he is developing a playbook of what he does right and what he does wrong. And that's what can help you build intuition. Because once you have the data staring you in the face, and you have all your trades here, and you can go in graphical format and see what you did right and what you did wrong. What he does, and this is what I love about him, is he's so meticulous for a young man, is he is just so focused on his data and what he's doing right and wrong that he is building intuition by the repetitions of understanding what he does. If I ask him any question, guys, if I say, Simon, what is your win ratio on XYZ pattern? He'll say, oh, well, Canal, or sometimes I make fun of him. I'll be like, Simon, how come, you know, so like you can see in his kind of, he's getting better, right? Like he's getting better and he's having more winning days and losing trades. And, you know, I think he's going to make it. Like we don't know for sure, but right, he's doing the right stuff. I really love, right? So this is the thing that we've learned about him is that he has like stuff that he does really, really well. And then like he has this one or two things that cost him money. You know, this is an aggregate in terms of all his ups and downs. And then he has certain things that do him good. And so what is going to happen over time is he is got very, very specific techniques in what he does. And I think that's going to be just, that's how somebody makes it over time. You know, that's what I think. And so that's how you can build your intuition, is just by having an awareness and being organized by it. Number 5, having a trading plan, right? Putting everything that you're going to do. Yeah, I think he's getting better. I mean, he's a brand new trader, right? I mean, you have to think about, right, how long somebody takes to get good at something. As a 23-year-old that's just basically, you know, started trading, you know, this year, I would say that, yeah, he's making progress. Like, you know, if you think about, you know, if you think about like what he's up to, you know, you're seeing green days, and he doesn't take huge losses. You know, so you see a lot of green days. I think that's important. Like, you know, his win ratios are good. His risk management is good. He's not taking huge losses, and he's getting more and more organized. But you can see like $100, right? Minus $30, but like he's building plus 70. So what you notice here that I'm noticing, at least recently, is, you know, his risk management is pretty good, and he's piling up some small win days, and his risk management's good, so he's giving himself time. A plus $100, right? Plus $20, you know, plus 55s. These aren't epic, but the days he loses, they're not epic disasters, right? And as a young man, you got to think like when he's 27, 28 years old, how good is he going to be, right? So like if you're this organized and you're already at a young age developing good risk management skills, I think in a couple of years, he could be really good. Of course, the time will tell, right? Because he's still got to go out and do it. I can just provide support. And of course, I go through his trades and I go through them and all that fun stuff. And then I can give him a kick in the ass when he screws up, which I'll do all the time. Like this day, he lost $300. You know, it wasn't a pretty day. Like I had to beat his ass verbally. No, I mean, you give them a hug and you tell them what they do right and wrong and you move on, right? And sometimes you have to kick their butts, but, you know, via G-chat, right? But I think he's going to be good because I see a lot of green days. And then every blue moon, he's having some kind of these ones that skate away. But overall, I think there's progress. And once you build the repetitions, then the sky's the limit, I think. So let's talk a little bit about trading plans, right? Guys, if you wanted to, let's say, if you wanted to start any business, right? So let's say you wanted to, open a retail business, so a brick and mortar business, like a restaurant, right? Say you want to open a restaurant, and you've got a handful of capital, $20,000, let's say. You want to open a restaurant. Well, and this restaurant's going to cost you a bunch of money. So you got to go out and raise money from investors or a bank, right? So you go to the bank, say, I want to build a restaurant. I want to make a restaurant. What are they going to ask you? What's your plan? What are your projections? What's your pitch deck? Anybody ever heard pitch deck, right? What's your pitch deck? You got any samples? You got any market research? How many people do you need to hire? What kind of equipment are you going to need? What's your lease going to be? What are your contingencies? What's your edge? What's your location research? You've got all of this stuff, right? You wouldn't go into the restaurant business undercapitalized, and you wouldn't go to a bank without a business plan. So you can't go into your trading career without a plan. And look, your plan is always going to change. Right? After you speak loud, it's just, my dad's a yeller, and he's always yelling at people. So I think I'm a yeller. My dad, he's yelling at people because he's Indian, and then he works at Unisys, this software company. And so like he's got to call India all the time because all, you know, the developers are Indians. And if any of you guys know, dealing with the Indian developers like the worst because they don't know anything. So my dad's always yelling at them, and then I think I just learned it. So now I speak really loud too. So that's how it goes. But back to the trading plan, right? You don't walk into a business without a plan. Think about this. This could be, right? You are the CEO of your small business, right? You are the CEO of your small business, Ground Trader Trading Enterprises, right? Jeffrey Wood Trading Enterprises, right? Brian Exaninoaks Chinese Trading Empire Enterprises, right? Luke Wright Enterprises. So you are the CEO of your small business, right? Your small trading business, right? So you need a plan. How you gonna keep up with all sorts of stuff? Continued education. What setups are you gonna trade? What are your risk management principles? What kind of software are you gonna use? What kind of classes are you gonna take? Who are you gonna network with, right? Who are you gonna build relationships with? Do you have a trading group, a trading team that you trade with, right? Anything that could go into the business You've got to put that on pad and paper. Because what happens is, and look, your business plan is going to move around, right? But it's like this sketch. You throw it all on there, and it's this plan. And then you're going to start to shift around and move things around as you go through your process, right? As you go through your career in this, your business plan will be dynamic. It's going to be ever changing. I have some students of mine that literally will send me their business plan 3-4 years later. My buddy Jake's like, dude, check this out. I'm adding this new thing to my repertoire. And he took my boot camp. I'm a boot camp 35 now. Took boot camp 3 or 4, 30 boot camps ago. That's 5 years ago. Man, I've been doing boot camps for a long time. But hey, check this out, man. I've added this new stuff to my repertoire, and they change up their trading plan, and he'll send it to me, you know, because our students get lifetime access to class. I'll see them come in live to class for years and years and years, even when they don't need it. They come in for the entertainment. Right? So that's the way. So you want to really go in and think about your trading plan and those type of things. When you think about trading plan also, I want you to really focus in on routines. What's your routine? Okay? Trading is no different than, you know, I always equate it to like, you know, like you're like an athlete, right? You're like an athlete. Like you've got to get yourself ready for the market. And so you have to have a really, really specific routine that's repeatable for yourself. So like for me, I wake up at the same time every day, right? I like to go out and get a little bit of sun, get some fresh air. So I walk around a little bit on the beach where I'll get some sun. I come back, I start scanning for earnings plays. Then I do my morning class. I do X, Y, Z. But I have a very, very specific routine, and you want to kind of detail in your trade plan. And then one of the things, guys, that you need to do is if you're having a string of bad trading days, or you're noticing some things go wrong, like you're not feeling right. So like we journal out everything. We journal out everything from how we're feeling mentally, emotionally, physically, on top of our trading patterns, right? On top of trading patterns, you need to really put down like, what are you going through? Because then what will happen is you'll be able to change parts of your daily routine to start to account for that, right? So, you know, you may find out that you need to eat something a little bit earlier. You're dehydrated. You are going to find out you might need some more sleep. But having a detailed routine and a trade plan, you're going to be able to start poking holes in what you do. And then from there, right, list the conditions of your trading. And then, of course, you know, your personal goals are, of course, going to be really, really, really important. You know, this is huge, you know. So, like, even for me, like, I keep down lists of, like, everything. I mean, everything. So I go old school, man. I write things down, but really, really important. So, like, every day I'm writing stuff down that I think is going to be really, really helpful. I write down, when I talk to my students, I write down notes about them, right, and what they're going through or what they need or so on and so forth, so that I can always follow up. But I think that this becomes really, really, really important because you got to have the plan. You got to have the notes. Otherwise, you know, you're kind of lost in the shuffle when you're going through all this stuff. Number 6, preserve your mental capital, all right? So in trading, guys, there is your capital, meaning you have your capital that you trade with, okay? Then you have your mental capital, your psychological capital, which is more important than even your financial capital. You know, in trading, when you're making mistakes and you don't walk away, or you're forcing things that are not there because you want to be in the market or you want to be doing something, you feel like you have to be. what you're doing is you're draining your mental capital. And what happens is as you drain that mental capital, when you are faced with some epic opportunity, well, guess what happens? You're not able to capitalize on that big opportunity, right? You're not able to do that. Like the other day, for example, a couple days ago, this Roku went on this huge run, all right? So on this particular day, and this is my bread and butter, like this is my type of setup, like this is called an opening range breakout. So it goes from, I'd probably rip a couple thousand shares of this thing to 1,000 shares of this thing when I get it. So when this thing busted loose around 12:30, I was already gone for the day. Why? Well, I wasn't gone for the day necessarily because I was doing anything fun. What had happened was I gave back a bunch of profits. So I was up $1,500, something like that. I was up $1,500, something give or take like that. And I gave a good chunk of it back. And so then I was only up like $100 at the time. And so I bailed. I said, because I was tired because I had been giving back so many damn profits because I was fighting on a couple of stocks. I just blew all my mental capital. And I was still up $100 in the day. I didn't have to leave, right? But what had happened was I blew all my mental capital. Like I was exhausted fighting this fucking stock that I was trading, but I was watching this one the whole day waiting for this to go. And guess what? The second I leave, so I left like right around noon. The second I leave, like 5 minutes later, my business partner, Saeed, who runs the chat room with me, 5 minutes later, he goes, dude, come back. I'm like, I'm already gone, man. I'm headed out on my boat for a little bit. He's like, come back. It's only been 5 minutes. He's like, I'm already halfway to the yacht club. I got to go. And guess what? 10 minutes later, I've been waiting for this thing. 10 minutes later, so I left like right when it was just kind of sitting around in here. 10 minutes later, this thing finally broke out, right? Test, 9 EMA right up under it. Boom, right? That's a $4 trade in 20 minutes, right? You rip 1,000 shares of this thing, your risk is going to be about 20, 30 cents. And dude, you're going to have this huge shred. But I missed it because I blew all my mental capital. And I think that's a really hard. And then the last hack is continuous mentorship and support. So when you're thinking about trading, so I trade on GChat with my buddy Saeed for at least a decade. I trade with him for at least a decade, and we hang out and, we chit chat about stocks all day. I have my mentor, Paul, that taught me how to trade, and I hang out with him. And I have the guys in my chat room and Mary Beth. Like I chat with her all day about stocks. Like we literally would be sitting there talking about stocks all day. Having a little bit of a community of traders, whether it's me. Hey, Dad, what's going on?
Yeah. Okay. Let me do it too. Okay, Mom.
That's my dad. So having a community of traders is really helpful. For us, we have our chat room. We keep like a Google community. It's in my other Gmail, but we have a community of where everybody can hang out. We got a Facebook group, and then, I'm trading live, guys, in front of my guys all the time. Hey, Vinny, that's not true, man. He deserves it. But having that community is going to be huge. One of the cool things about our chat room over the years has been, because these guys know me so well, is you'll see like some of these guys, like they'll be like, dude, you got to get out for the day, man. You're past your bedtime. Like you had a good day, like go. like everybody will kind of look out for each other and, you know, be like, hey, go do this, or share ideas, and kind of having that like community of traders. I think it's a big help. You know, frankly, I've traded around with people my whole life, you know, and I think it's been a big help. So, you know, in terms of our boot camp, you know, a lot of you guys have asked about this, but, you know, our boot camp is 28 live classes. It's via webinar like this. Everything is recorded and archived. It's pretty cool. Like, our students have lifetime access to everything. So, you know, on our website, you know, we have a module page where all the stuff is. So I'm on the tube like this 4 days a week. I'm hooting and hollering and losing my voice just like I would now. Every single class, every single aspect of boot camp, from the links to the community, quizzes, homework, and then everything is, of course, recorded and archived. And I do recaps of the market. And then, dude, there's a lot. We do a lot of classes. Like, I mean, class runs always a little bit longer than you want, but dudes, we have everything on here. It's pretty cool. So, you know, you can go in. I have guest webinars for trade journaling and all this stuff. But you can see, like, this is our last boot camp. It's extensive. You know, it's extensive. And we start everybody off at step one. So we start everybody at step one, no matter who you are. You know, no matter who you are. And you have access to even all the past boot camps. And then we have everything from the trade journaling you need, the scanners, anything else. But this is how you learn. You got to learn live. You know, if you're thinking about learning something like this, you can't do it from any DVDs, and you definitely can't do it from just watching videos. You know, it's got to be live. It's got to be intensive, because this is a job, right? So Q&A sessions, quizzes, homework, and then we have class. We have trading simulator. Most of our students will use TC2000, but we have a couple other free simulators, other simulators people can use too. But most of our students will use TC2000, which is really customizable. You can go in here and see, you can stick your stuff anywhere you want. And then you can just start shredding right from the platform. TC2000 is awesome too, because you can literally, like, you can set buy stops right from you can trade from the chart. You know, so that's pretty cool. That's one of my favorite parts about the TC2000. So a lot of our students will just use this for the simulator. I don't trade on TC2000. We have our own, we have over 100 students that trade at a hedge fund, where they're graduates of our boot camp, and we provide them capital. There's no pattern day trade rule. We get, you know, give them access to buying power, margin, all that fun stuff. It's pretty cool. One of the things, guys, always remember too, with day traders, you can't really do annual percentage return, because in day trading, you have to take all your money out of your account probably every couple of weeks. The bigger you let your account, the harder it is to move around. So in day trading, it's just income, right? You know, if you had $5,000 and you made 10,000, you'd be up 200%. But really, is that anything? No, right? You know, so you've got to go in with it's income. You know, your goal should be, you know, try to, in the beginning, learn how to make $1. If you make $1, it's much easier to make 100. But the hardest thing in trading to do is to learn how not to lose, right? Learning not to lose. Now, the other part of our thing is we do market recaps. So at the end of the market sessions, I recap every single trade that I take. You should never watch a trading DVD, Desert. Never. All DVDs are garbage. They really are. You can't learn anything from it. So we recap every single one of the trades. So guys, I trade as a part of the boot camp for 3 months. I trade live in front of the students. I trade live in front of the students, meaning I post a link in the morning, a GoToWebinar link, and then boom, you hop on. Timothy's stuff is good. I mean, Tim is the man. I mean, he's like the godfather of everything we do. But beyond that, you know, I'm dubious of DVDs, let's just say. Now, we go in post-market. We recap every single trade I take. So you guys will watch me trade. Yeah, we are friends. He's the man. You'll watch me trade. Then we recap the sessions. We learn why they work, didn't work, and how to improve them. Yeah, you can ask about your own trades that are done on the simulator. It's usually a small group session. There'll be 15, 20 people in it. So we can get as hands-on as we need to. It's really good. That's one of the keys to trading, guys. You know, this is where, if you're going to try to learn, this is where you've got to really marry things. Okay, so like some people watch DVDs. Some people read books, right? How do you take something that's static? Do you notice in books, right? Or in a DVD, what they're going to do, and I do this on my slides too, you cherry pick the best charts. You cherry pick the cleanest charts, right? Oh, look at this. It's so perfect. If you just buy here, it'll do this, right? You cherry pick this just fucking beauty that shows up once a year. And you're like, look, if you see this, you just do this, right? And you're going to make some money. And so now you're like, oh, fuck, I can do that. Well, yes, ideally you want your charts to look like that. But guess what? They're not moving at that time, right? It's a book or it's a slide. So how do you get from where it's just static and not moving to when you go live, everything is doing this, right? It's flying around. So how do you go from this to marry this? In the middle, you got to watch somebody else trade. So I trade in front of the students, and then we recap the trades at the end of the day. That's huge, because now what's going to happen is you're going to marry the book knowledge to the real life knowledge, but you're also going to get to see somebody do it day in and day out. And I think that's going to be huge, because if you can't get somebody to trade in front of you with a screen share, they're probably not trading. If you don't see the guy's screen with this trading platform up, probably not trading. Always remember that. When you want to see it, ask for the screen share, and then they can't just show TC2000 or some charts. You need to see the trading platform. You got to be able to see somebody hit the buttons. Why? Because you're scaling in, you're scaling out. You need to be able to see the trading platform, right? So like when I'm trading in front of everybody, I keep my platform up on the corner. So like you'll see I'll be hitting these buttons and you'll be like, hey, I'm buying this, I'm selling this, whatever. And then you'll see my charting and all that fun stuff. It's really necessary, because also you've got to learn how to use the platforms and stuff. So it's really, really cool. So, you know, that's really it, guys. I mean, that is the nutshell. Now, the other type of thing is that our students have class for life, right? My students have class for life. So, you know, you have a job, you have kids, you got to disappear for a while. You're on the run. You're on the lam. You can come back in a couple of years and take class. In our next boot camp, you'll see people from 4 or 5 years ago pop in and say hi. Hey, what's up, man? I have no classes today, because class is always Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, no matter what, right? Unless it's 4th of July, Christmas, Easter. Those are probably the main days, but otherwise class is always on. So, you know, you've got to be really down with this stuff. Now, let's open this thing up to some questions. On the other side of things, you know, in our boot camp, we have the students make trading plans. We work on all of that stuff. So anything that you think is involved in trading, trading simulator, trading plans, watching a trader trade live, watching classes live, watching videos, homework, quizzes, group work, community, chat room, I bundle it all together and, you know, and that's a wrap, you know, so that's one of the things that you like. And I'm not a one-man band. We got 10 employees at this company, 4 traders on staff, right? 2 of them are better than me. So we've got people that are on staff ready to help. All my employees are well-versed in the art of trading. So we've got a good community of people to help you guys out. I'll open this thing up to some questions and we'll be good to go. Hey, Mario, Cameron Fuchs is one of my best friends. He's a good-looking dude. He's got 6-pack abs. Well, what else can you say? He's the man. He's one of my travel buddies. We've literally, man, we've probably been in 10, 15 countries together doing all sorts of weird stuff. Obviously, I have to be like the funny guy while he gets to be the cool guy, but whatever. No, Mr. Tech, I don't. That's just not my thing. Busy enough, you know, trying to figure out my own life. Hey, Shane, are you in Destin? If you're in Destin, man, come over tomorrow. Yes, daily charts are the hugest part of trading. Dude, Cam is the man. He's like one of the nicest guys I ever met. He's super chill. I'm like the crazy one. He's always just, he's chill. He's California chill. Question, what are you looking for when you're making a watch list? So when you're making a watch list, I'm looking for patterns that fit me, momentum, volume, and then most importantly, my watch list tends to be a little bit large, and then I narrow them down depending on how I trade those particular patterns. Hey, Abdi, I guess old enough to, I don't even know. I mean, we've had people in high school, all sorts of people. Guys, by the way, you know, if you have any questions, you know, you can always email Mary Beth. My personal email is also, you can, if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask me. You can send me a little text if you want. I do tend to FaceTime people back, so just be aware if I don't know who it is. I tend to just boom. But you know, so that's my email. That's my phone number. Guys, we have payment plans and all that fun stuff. You guys will be really ready to go. And dude, feel free. Like, don't hide out. You know, that's my number, and use it if you need it. Yeah, no. Class starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Hey, Jason, you know, we have, so I have a student of mine, Dav, that does my videos. He lives in Crestview, actually. We have like a bunch of students here in Destin. Probably like 10 of us that live around Miramar Beach, Destin area. So you'll have to hit me up or text me. Hey, get ready. His question is, as a beginner trader, what's the lowest cumulative loss you can reach? I want to know if there's ever a time there's no hope to come back up. Get ready. It's natural for people to refill their accounts a few times over the course of the years. So there's really no spot where you're not can't come back from, as long as you just kind of stay away from too much leverage. And that's always the key. Stay away from the margin. I have actually, Vince, never heard of Larry Williams. Hey, Kelson, what type of data are you looking for? Hey, Jeff, you know what? A lot of my students that are on the West Coast, they still just join at 5 p.m. or they'll watch the recording. But you're totally right. Adam Kennedy, best trading platform. I have my own platform because there's not very many I like. A lot of people use Dash Trader, like Speed Trader, Centerpoint. They all use the Dash Trader platform. Most of my students that trade retail use Interactive Brokers. Yeah, you can use a little bit of margin, just not too much. Yeah, Jason, man, we all go out and stuff. You got to hit me up. Yeah, we have a few guys in Niceville, too. And then one guy in Valparaiso. He's an options trader. He lives in Valparaiso. He's born and raised here. He's got his own website like mine. He's the man. Stephen Place. Hey, Kelson, just email me or Mary Beth, and we'll give you a call. We'll figure something out. So in terms of hotkeys, I don't need hotkeys because can you guys see my screen? See how I have my button set up here? If I want to buy 500, I just go boom, and I'm in. Sell, buy 200, boom, I'm in. Liquidate, put my stop loss here. I've got all my buttons set up on my platform so that, bam, I want to hit this. I want to short 300. I go boop, and I'm in. So I've got my buttons set up pretty easy. You can set up hotkeys, like if I wanted to do, if I wanted to raise up my shares, I can go control up. And you can see how it's going from 4, 5, 9,000, 11,000. See this thing here? So control up raises it by like 1,000. Control down raises it down. See, there's different stuff you can do, but I don't really need them. Yeah, Jason, you just got to keep building, baby. No options traders for me. I mean, I'm friends with some options traders, but I don't trade them. Anybody else got any questions? Oh, Mario, man, probably 3 or 4. 3 or 4 times, I'd say. No swearing jar. Fuck the swearing jar. Dude, if you can't say fuck all the time, what can you do? You just got to say it. It's awesome. It can mean so many things. Tyler, man, you lost your fucking mind, man. Literally. Because I have sent you 9-30. Oh, and 2 o'clock again. Let me get my screen share out here. Sent. Tyler O'Hara, baby. 2:08 p.m. I want my props. Look at that. Tyler, and I'm also messing with you. You got to let me know if you didn't get them, but you got to open up every single one and then just save the layouts. Hey, buddy. So no Forex for me. I trade cryptocurrency, but no Forex. I think out of the currency stuff, the crypto is way better. Hey, Jeremy, when you're looking at daily charts, I mean, you're mainly looking for breakout, or it's a spot that's already bouncing, and then you're looking for the float, the volume, and everything else that comes with it. Anytime, Jeffrey, anytime. Hey, Evan, cryptocurrency exchanges are super expensive. I use GDAX for like my day-to-day, like when I'm trading the bigger coins. Because on GDAX, if you do limit orders, you won't get charged commission. So I go with GDAX for the bigger ones, and I use Bittrex for the smaller ones. Oh, yeah. All right, all right. Anybody else? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Oh, shit. Daniel, the cryptos tend to run like early in the morning. And then, you'll get some action in the evenings too. Do you stick to your mental stop losses 100%? No, sometimes I mess up. Mother lover, if you need a hat, I'll get you a hat, buddy. And a t-shirt if you need one. Ronit, yeah, we'll go over all that stuff. A lot of it's really applicable. The patterns are the same. So we'll make sure to, I'll make sure to touch upon all that. And the patterns are really almost the exact same. All right, people, going once. Guys, it's been an honor. It has been an honor. I apologize for the faux pas with the software in the beginning. I'm just a stickler. I don't like doing webinars if you can't see my face because it just feels inauthentic. Like there's just somebody lying to you behind a green screen. I don't like that because that's happened to me before. That's some bullshit. So I had to restart it, but I apologize for that delay. Probably some of you guys got shaken out of it. My apologies on that, though. But I appreciate it, seriously. Sorry for the swearing. My dad says hi. My mom says hi. We're here ready to probably watch TV, PG-13 stuff, and hang out for the rest of the evening. My other students, I'll be in the crypto chat room, ready to shred the rest of the night. We got work to do. I'm going to go to bed in 3 hours. We got 3 hours to make some trades. Brian, that fucking Neo better be over that 34 by the time this webinar ends. I made sure to turn it off so that I wouldn't be staring at Neo while I'm doing the webinar, and I hope that it's up there. I'll see you guys in a bit. Peace in the Middle East. That's a 1980s term.